Hey you guys, it's me Michelle from Awake Society, and I want to do a different video today. I want to do a video about positive, uplifting good news around the world, specifically about coronavirus. I'm making this video to shine some light and some brightness around the world. I want to make a disclaimer. This video isn't meant to minimize nor deny anybody suffering, anybody that's going through a hard time right now. This video is not meant to deny or minimize the harsh truth that is going around the world because of this pandemic. I'm just simply making this video because I want you guys to see that there are helpers out there and that there are people actually doing the best that they can to help those who are vulnerable and doing the best that they can for their community. And I think these are the things that we also need to see alongside the negative news. Let's start with the news about restaurants. So Chef Andres is a restaurant owner, and he changed his restaurants to kitchen serving takeouts and is delivering meals to families in need. In Nepal, a restaurant is offering low cost or free meals to tourists who are stuck there because they were unable to go back to their countries. McDonald's saw that a hospital placed an order, and they decided to give them the order for free and deliver it as well as a thank you for the staff that is working really hard at the hospital. In New Jersey, I can't remember the name, but I'll put the name right here of the pizza restaurant. But there's this New Jersey pizza restaurant owner who took out $50,000 in credit so he could pay his employees. Now let's go to the news of stores and pharmacies. In Edinburgh, there are stores creating free sanitation kits and food for the elderly for free. CVS is delivering medicines to people also for free. There's a small shop owners called Asaya and Jawed in Scotland, and they spent $2,500 in masks and sanitizers and delivered it to the elderly. Dollar General opens their first hour of the store specifically for elderly. And they're not the only ones doing that. Even here in Puerto Rico, there are stores that are dedicating the first hour of opening to elderly, disabled, and anybody who is immunocompromised. Swedish IKEA finds 50,000 forgotten face masks, and they donate it to their local hospital. Chick-fil-A delivers 1,000 meals to hospital staff to thank them. And in Minnesota and Vermont, they classify grocery store employees as emergency workers, and that qualifies them for free childcare. Like, how cool is that, you know? Now, let's talk about celebrities and athletes. NBA player Zion Williamson, he pledges to pay a month worth of his salary to arena workers due to season suspension. Italian designer Chiara Ferragni, I don't know how you pronounce that, he or she hopes raise $4 million for the intensive care unit. Astros George Springer donates $100,000 to help park employees out. Football player JJ Watt and his wife Kayla donate $350 to the Houston Food Bank. Jack Ma, he sends mask and coronavirus test kits to the United States from Shanghai, and he also donates masks to countries in Africa. Steph and Aisha Curie donate $1 million for meals to kids who rely on the education system to get their food. Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively donate $1 million to Feeding America and Food Banks Canada. Russell Wilson and Ciara pledged to donate 100 meals to their community in Seattle. Now let's talk about nurses, hospitals, and scientists. A plane full of Chinese COVID-19 experts with 30 tons of medical supplies and equipment fly to Italy to help them out. That's just amazing. In Shanghai, a doctor treating an 87-year-old patient takes her outside to appreciate the sunset. This photo here is bittersweet but beautiful at the same time, don't you think? In one day, over 1,000 retired and private doctors and nurses enlist to battle the coronavirus. 4,500 retired doctors and nurses sign up to rejoin NHS in just 48 hours. That's really cool. There's this doctor whose name is Alain Gauthier. I hope I'm pronouncing that well. He found a way to modify a hospital ventilator to treat 9 patients instead of just 1. That's really cool. And in Ireland, they were able to develop a kit that confirms COVID-19 infection in just 15 minutes. And I'm going to insert a picture right here of nurses and doctors on the plane going to New York to help the situation out. Like, that's just so cool. Okay, now let's talk about cities, countries, and the government. A Vietnamese government helps citizens fight by offering free hot meals and groceries. And Taiwan also donates 100,000 masks per week to the US. Like, how cool is that? There's a city of Cambridge, Massachusetts. I always say that word wrong. Anyways, they're paying 15 local restaurants to make meals for the homeless. This is just really cool. Germany helps support small businesses that to actually support artists, and that's really cool. Germany is also helping France and Italy by accepting COVID-19 patients and offering them their ICU hospital beds. Cuban doctors arrive to Italy to fight coronavirus, and they were received with a loud round of applause and cheers. That's so cool. And not only that, but Taiwan and Australia were able to arrive in an agreement. Australia will provide 1 million liters of alcohol for disinfectant, and Taiwan is going to send 3 metric tons of fabric to make into masks. Now let's talk about companies and factories, okay? Amazon launches $25 million to help their delivery drivers cope with the COVID-19 crisis. Delta CEO forgoes 6 months worth of salary so he doesn't have to lay off his employees. Fossils closes their stores, but they're also paying their employees for the time that it's closed. French that have a company to make perfumes are now using it to make hand sanitizers to deliver to the hospitals. Disneyland closed, and they're now donating all the food to their local food banks. Distilleries, instead of making alcohol, they're using it to create hand sanitizers or disinfectants. So that's really cool. Puerto Rico, this one's I'm really proud of because this is where I live, here in Puerto Rico. This famous rum producer, especially for Don Q, they donate ethyl alcohol hand sanitizers for the hospitals here in Puerto Rico. That's just so cool. Fiat Chrysler is to convert one of its plants to produce over 1 million face masks a month for US healthcare workers. Bauer is making protective shields for medical workers instead of hockey gear in Quebec. Airbnb hosts have been able to provide 100,000 housing spaces for COVID-19 responders so they could stay close to the hospital and stay close to the workstation. This is also really cool. 150 Tunisians, they actually self-isolate in the factory so they could make more masks. Okay, now let's talk about people. There's this guy called Bob Schallert, and since he can't visit the nursing home because of obviously they're in lockdown, on the day of his anniversary with his wife, he stands outside with a sign that says, "I've loved you for 76 years and still do. Happy anniversary." That's really cute. Another one is a 100-year-old woman who is quarantined in a nursing home, have friends and family stand outside the window saying happy birthday to her. Our aerobics instructor holds a class on his roof, and people around in the apartments are exercising along with him. This couple who is 3D printing new respirator valves to help save lives for free. This is really cool as well. 2 college students were able to create invisible hands, and they were able to gather 1,300 volunteers in 72 hours, you guys. And all these people are actually buying grocery stores and picking up medicines for anybody who is vulnerable in New York. This is also pretty cool and cute. There's this son who went to the nursing home and started playing guitar, so his mom from the balcony could hear him and watch him play guitar for her. There's this 76 street truck stop that people were very thankful for the truckers to continue working during this crisis, so they donated money to the stop so the way they could buy as many meals as possible for the truck drivers. That's just really amazing. This is also pretty cool. Property owners are telling restaurants to not pay the rent and instead use that money to pay their employees. The world's biggest barbecue truck that is on 18 wheels cooked 8,000 pounds of meat and gave it to the frontline workers during this coronavirus outbreak. In Sam's, there's this elderly couple who couldn't find bread, and a young man in his 20s overheard them say that and told them, hey, you could have my loaf of bread, and if there's anything in my cart that you guys need and couldn't find as well, you're happy to it. In Michigan, there's a man who's literally riding a bike and delivering takeout food from restaurants to people for free in order to help restaurants stay afloat. In Italy, there was people who were able to hack a scuba gear and create it into ventilators. They were literally able to make 500 ventilators out of this to help treat people. A high school principal donates nearly 2K of N95 masks to the hospital in LA and the police department. A man who is very thankful for the hospital for saving his wife with COVID-19 holds a sign outside the window thanking them. This is like really cool. There's an ambulance paramedic, a Jewish and a Muslim praying together and working together during this crisis, and that's just really cool when people can put their differences aside and just see each other as brothers or sisters and work together. Another one is that a woman loaned her father her dog as an emotional support animal. She misses the dog, but I just think that's a cute thing that you could do for your dad, you know? John Strupat, who is a creator or at least one of the designers of ventilators, is pledging to put his design as an open source so people can use it to create more ventilators and save more lives. An Alabama man who, you probably see this news, he goes around mowing lawns for the elderly. Now he's going around and giving meals, free meals to the elderly. Tattoo artists who are out of jobs right now donated all their masks and gloves to the hospital. In Kenya, 2 men were able to deliver 10,000 gallons of portable water to their community who is in quarantine in order to help stop the spread of this virus. This is also cool. An anonymous woman sets a table in front of her house and puts free meals for people who need it. I'm like smiling so much because just seeing these things makes me so happy, you know? And not only that, in rural America, cops are delivering food and groceries to anybody who is vulnerable at the moment. Now let's talk about zoos. Zookeepers are actually self-isolating in zoos, you guys, so that way they don't get sick and are able to feed and take care of the animals. That's just really cool. In Chicago Aquarium, that is closed obviously for COVID-19, allows penguins to run around and check out other exhibits. In Oregon, zoo animal handlers took an elephant around to see different exhibits, and the coolest thing is that the favorite animal of the elephant was sea lions. Now let's talk about survivors. A 103-year-old woman is the oldest woman, at least that I found on the news, I don't know if there's anybody older, who was able to survive COVID-19. Not only that, An 87-year-old U.S. Marine survived COVID-19 here in Puerto Rico and was able to go back home, I think, to Michigan. How cool is this news? This is like this old man. He's literally a survivor. He's 100 years old, survived the Holocaust, survived the Spanish flu, and just beat COVID-19. Like, how cool is that? Now, let's talk about funny news. So a guy who is having meetings on the webcam with his staff and co-workers, he literally bought ties for his cat to look professional whenever he appears on webcam. Another one is that there's this young lady who's called Emma. Her dog is so happy that everybody's at home for quarantine that he literally sprained his tail because he was excessively wagging it all day. This is really funny, actually. I laughed really hard at this news. There's this man who has a Chihuahua, and he put a note on the dog with a $20 bill and sent the dog to the store to buy Cheetos. The dog came back with a bag of Cheetos. That's just funny. Another one is that there's this boss having a meeting with his staff. They were using a Microsoft program, and the boss accidentally turned herself into a potato and couldn't take off the option, so she was a whole meeting as a potato. Another one is that a nursing home sets up a life-size hungry hippos game so they could like distract themselves and play. And another one is that there's this guy who was exercising on his balcony, and he was doing jumping jacks, and there's this guy in the red light who saw him. So the guy in the red light got out of his car, did jumping jacks to him. They pointed at each other and started laughing, and he just got back in his car and drive away. That's just hilarious. There's this hairstylist who is using her boyfriend and creating fancy hairdos to spend time during the quarantine. So this is all the news, you guys. I hope you enjoy this, and I hope that this lifts your spirit, even if it's just a little bit for a little while. If you guys enjoy this type of video, let me know, and I could do a part 2 with more news out there.